Hello everyone and welcome to this month's episode of What's for Dinner. Today I'm going to be making shepherd's pie. I'm not entirely sure why they call this dish shepherd's pie, but for those of you not familiar with what it is basically ground beef and vegetables mixed together and then layered into a cake pan, like a 13 by 9 cake pan with mashed potatoes on top and then baked. So before I started recording, I did a couple things before to get the process going. I chopped one onion, which we'll be sauteing here in a moment, and I have some quartered potatoes that are in the process of getting ready to boil on the stove. What we're going to do now is we're going to start greasing up the saucepan and putting the onions in there so the onions can start to brown. To grease the pan, we're going to use half of a stick of butter. So all the butter has just about melted, I'm going to go and dump the onions into the pan. And I will not have the butter splash on me as I do it. Okay, those are going to take some time to brown now, and then we're going to add in the ground beef next. Now the recipe I'm following calls for like a pound to a pound and a half of ground beef. I have 2 pounds right here. I'm going to cut one in half and use half of that with my other cutting board. All of this will go in. Cut this in half. Half of it going. Changing up my utensil. This fork isn't working for me. Get a spatula. All right, gonna let that simmer for a moment. I'm gonna take care of the rest of this meat. This away. Now the next thing we would add to the meat mixture is going to be about 1 to 2 cups of vegetables, which I have already pre-portioned. Here. Meat has to cook just a little bit more before I can add those. So the meat is getting less and less pink, which means I'm going to add the vegetables now. You want to make sure there is no pink left in the meat. The meat should be completely brown. So all the veggies have now been evenly distributed, at least mostly evenly distributed through the meat and the onions. We're now going to add a teaspoon of Worcestershire sauce and a half cup of beef broth. When it comes to a teaspoon of Worcestershire sauce, I'm just going to do like a couple shakes of it into it. The beef broth, on the other hand, I think what I have here is just a cup. This is 2 cups, so a fourth of this can, but I'm going to measure it anyway. Open it all the way. Half a cup of beef broth. The recipe says to add more to keep the meat from drying out. You don't necessarily have to add more. If you want to add more, you're more than welcome to. So we're going to add the beef broth right away. And I'll add a couple shakes of Worcestershire sauce. Alright, so the potatoes have just started showing signs of boiling. What I'm going to do now is turn the heat almost all the way down on the meat and start preheating the oven to bake this. You're going to preheat it for 400 degrees. We'll be back when the potatoes are ready. So the potatoes are boiling nicely now. I'm going to get ready to mash them. I'm going to move some of this stuff out of the way. I'm going to put them into this bowl with the rest of the stick of butter. We're going to mash them, and then we're going to create our casserole, our shepherd's pie, in the cake pan. The recipe says that when the potatoes are able to be pierced easily with a fork, they are ready to come out. All right, here we go. We're going to check them one last time. They are most certainly ready. Now we drain them. This could be a fun process. And begin the mashing process. Alright, we're looking good here. I believe the oven is preheated. So now all you have to do is layer in the beef, put this on top, and bake it for half an hour at 400 degrees. Bringing over our cake pan, that is now going to be our shepherd's pie pan. Turn off the meat. Now comes the fun part of getting this beautiful meat into the pan. Let's see if I can do this carefully without Oh, it's already moving. Okay, here we go. Okay, here's that in. That looks actually pretty good. Potatoes. I have a spoon over here. Now when you're spreading this out, you want to make sure that it's not necessarily like evenly flat, the potatoes that is. You want to have some peaks and valleys so that when it's baking, it gets brown. Now the other thing the recipe suggested was adding some cheddar cheese to the top, so I'm going to go ahead and do that. I have just enough to put on top. Our unbaked shepherd's pie that's going to go into the oven right now for a half an hour at 400 degrees. And now we wait. Alright, so it's been half an hour. I'm going to go check it. Let's see if it's done. That looks delicious, actually. I think that's done. Turn the oven off. Well, this looks delicious. I'm very excited to try this. Let's do that. All right, let's give this a try. Get some of the veggies, get some of the meat, potatoes. Here we go. Very good. Oh, it's very good. I hope you enjoyed this episode of What's for Dinner. If you have any recipes that you would like to see me make, leave them below in the comments and I'll take a look at them. Until next time, take care and God bless.